I'm Debbie Bell hosting for Finextra TV here at Sibos 2023 in Toronto, and I'm joined by Zhenya Winter and Vitus Rotzer, both of Bottomline, to chat about Bottomline's 2023 report, The Future of Competitive Advantage in Banking and Payments. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, we're pleased to be here.
Thank you, welcome.
Well, we're chatting about the report, The Future of Competitive Advantage in Banking and Payments. So Zhenya, I'm going to come to you first. What's the background of this report and what's the motivation behind it?
Sure, this report is in its third year. The purpose of the report is to look at the priorities that banks and FIs have got both for 2023 and beyond. As we all know, super busy roadmaps out there. You know, our industry is particularly driven by regulation and also customer demand. So what we want to make sure is that in this competitive environment, banks and FIs are able to benchmark themselves in real time, that was the survey, to see how they compare and what they're prioritizing. And then the second part of that, referencing the title, The Future of Competitive Advantage, well, if corporates are the answer to competitive advantage, then banks and FIs really need to make sure they're aligned with what their corporate customers are looking for. And so that's the basis of the report. Now, it's a global report. We've had 500 plus C-level contributors from across the whole ecosystem. Sort of from your tech and IT guys, through to treasury, through to cash management, through to the fraud side. So it's really a comprehensive view. And I'm excited to talk about it with you today.
And I can see that. And you're drawing me in because I'm thinking there's so many different facets to this that are so interesting. So based on what you're saying, Vitus, do you think banks and financial institutions are on track for their digital payments modernization strategy? And if not, why do you think not?
Well, I will say they claim to be. Out of the report, a large percentage are saying they are ready. Some are saying they are not ready yet, and I will urge them to start to be ready because it's becoming almost a must to prepare themselves. My honest feeling is that they are not as ready as they are, and they should accelerate. I think they have plan, but they should go in execution plan and not just having a plan and a strategy, because with everything which is coming, which is becoming regulatory mandated, as well as expected by the client, they have to have the proper response to it. So that's where we are today.
That's where we are today. And soon we're going to be looking forward.
Yeah.
And talking about where we are today, what are you seeing, Zhenya, from banks and financial institutions, what are you seeing as their main priorities? And are they aligning those with what you said was so important, which is the corporate customer demands?
Yeah, and I'd like to just expand quickly on what Vitus was saying. You know, SaaS, ISO, these in themselves aren't particularly interesting. What makes them exciting is the potential ramifications of getting those right in terms of prioritizing your roadmap and winning that competitive advantage. So it's the capability that it offers, which is so exciting, rather than the SaaS tech itself. So if I could just take this moment just to reference some stats, if I may. So when we asked the banks, they said their top priority was adopting new payment rails, such as real-time payments. That was at 52%. And then it was followed by migrating fraud risk at 45%. And then you're coming in with creating new revenue streams. So again, business case. So those were the top three. And I'm not really very surprised by that. There's a lot of real-time payments, faster payments, instant payments. It's really being driven. It's now considered table stakes, and it's a real requirement. I'm going to come on to that in a minute with the corporates. But again, it's being driven by regulation. Vitus, obviously based in Switzerland, has exposure to SIC IP, but also in his capacity, we're looking at SEPA Inst. And I'm reliably informed, Vitus disagrees on the date, but I think it's going to be approved at the end of October, early November, where that mandate will be ratified, and then banks will have 6 months for all EU citizens to be able to receive instant payments, and 12 months to be able to send and receive. And then that also involves necessities around sanction screening and IBAN. So I'm not surprised by those. Mitigating fraud risk always sits when you're talking about real-time payments, faster fraud. And again, creating new revenue streams, we're looking to see business cases for things, because not all banks are the same, and they don't have the same volume and volume. So to come on to the second part of your question, which was, how is that allied to what the corporates are saying? And these stats are part of our sister report, the Business Payments Barometer, which looks at corporate customers, again the same numbers, about, I think it's slightly more, about 700 corporate customers have responded. So when we said to them what they want their bank to deliver, the good news is they agreed with real-time payments and with fraud. However, where there's a bit of disparity is cash positioning is a big deal for corporate customers. I actually thought it would feature right at the top. And that is only listed number 6 for banks. So that needs to be looked at. And also corporates said what they want their banks to deliver is that price transparency, that fair pricing. Now you would think, well, that's obvious, but actually banks listed it way down, 7 out of 8. So we're nearly there, close, but no cigar. However, there's more work that needs to be done on allying them to win that competitive advantage.
Wow, I'm just listening to those stats and allying, and that some were so similar, but it was just that one point that's still not there yet.
Yeah.
Now, what I didn't hear you mention, or perhaps I did and I missed it, but it was ISO 20022. Vitus, where does that fit in? How does it fit in with the whole picture of what we're discussing?
I would say this is a bit the glue of everything. The ISO 20022 is the underlying requirement that will allow all this transformation to align, standardize, and transport the message. So you will ease what we call frictionless payment. To have rich data, structured data will allow you to improve fraud detection, will allow to ease compliance, will allow to ease reporting, analytic as well, to use all this data to see and search your counterparty, then come to the liquidity management, having the cash visibility, which is a requirement. So all that is ISO 20022. And we see that in the cross-border with SWIFT, having that now launched in March 2023, the first phase. We have a transition period until 2025. But we also see a lot of domestic rail moving to ISO 20022 around the world. So eventually, all this will come to a seamless network where everything will be much more frictionless. And that's the role of ISO 20022 and why it was so important actually in the payment industry. And the other aspect which is very important is they are coming now with new regulation that will also be supported by the ISO 20022, meaning they're asking you to prove and validate the payment before doing it. So there are initiatives like bank account validation, where you need to validate the account before you send the payment. You have the confirmation of payee in the UK, which is the same type of principle, where the regulator is now forcing you to do so, because if you don't, you take the full responsibility. Okay, and this is why the banks and the FIs have to push towards other payment model where you aggregate basically your different rails. You have to be able to integrate new rails very quickly. So speed to market is key. Having instant payment is another beast, I will say, than a normal payment. You need to act much more quicker. It's 24/7. You need to control the balance of your account in real time, even overnight. You need to do the fraud check and compliance check in real time. So all these constraints are very well, let's say, addressed with a SaaS platform, and that's why they need to be ready and go into that direction.
Yeah, I think as Vitus is saying, it's the wonderful thing about ISO is it's standardized, structured, and also it offers ubiquity. Yeah. So that's what's exciting. So when you talk about real-time payments, it's often actually the fact that it's all runs on ISO rails now that people get excited about. And there is an argument that just now we don't know, coming back to this business case, we don't know all the use cases for ISO 20022. So although you've got till the end of the coexistence period to be ISO native, why not get cracking now? Because until you start exploring those use cases, then you're not going to know. And those have the potential for massive new revenue streams.
Yeah, we are at the beginning of the journey with
yes.
this. So we did the underlying technical enabler. This is done since March, and we need to build up on that.
Absolutely. There were two words. You said the word eventually, and you've said, why not get cracking now?
Yes.
Well, I have to say, it's been wonderful, Vitus and Zhenya, to have you on the Finextra TV sofa with your energy, and we've covered so many topics on the basis of this report. So thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
No,
thank
you
you for
having
having
us. I really
us.
enjoyed it. Thank you.